Hello YouTubers, this is Assassin's Creed 2555, and today I will be showing you a tutorial on some of Blender's basics, which is down here, Blender, which I was telling you what we are going to be using to make 3D awesome looking games. Now before I can even show a tutorial on that and get the basics down, I have to show you where to download it. So I'm going to use Google Chrome as my web browser, because, I don't know, I'm a Chrome fan, I guess you could say. So first you have to type in www.blender.org, not .com, .org. That's the correct website. And from here, you have to click on Download Blender. And then you see this page pop up. And what this is these are the downloads section. Now, the 32-bit, if you're having a Windows computer, you have to make sure that your computer is either a 32-bit or 64-bit. You can't download any of these yet until you figure that out. And once you do, then just click on those, and it'll bring you to a page and automatically install it. Then you have Linux, 32, and 64. Same thing. And then you have Mac OS X and FreeBSD. Simple as that. But before you even download this Blender program, you need to click on Features and Gallery. Once you do this, you have to go over to Requirements and click it. And then you have to read over this whole page before you actually download Blender. This has all of the requirements it needs, if it's using Windows or whatever, Mac, Linux, or FreeBSD. Make sure you read over this before you download it. And yeah, before you download it, just make sure you read over this page. And I'll stop this tutorial for a brief moment and resume back once you've downloaded Blender. So yeah, I'll see you in a second once you have Blender, I guess. Alright, bye. Okay, now we're back, YouTubers. You should have Blender downloaded right now. And if not, then resume back to the other thing and pause the video for a while. Anyways, I'm assuming you now have Blender. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the Blender icon. Either it's down there or it's whatever directory. And it comes up with this, Blender 2.60. You left click out of there, and you see this. And you're probably thinking, okay, what am I exactly supposed to do here? How can I move around? And that is what I'm exactly about to show you right now. Here, let me close this real quick. I don't know why it keeps opening up. Anyways, this is what we're pretty much going to be doing throughout all of Blender tutorials. This is pretty much it. And don't worry, it's not like I'm going to show you this once and boom, no more talking to you about it from then on, just expecting you to remember it all. I'm not that kind of person. I'm going to go make sure that I say every single thing that I do. And not every single time, like maybe I won't say I entered, like I just hit tab to enter edit mode. For example, that. I won't say that all the time because I'll assume that eventually you get that. But for example, like E to extrude and scale, all that kind of stuff, I'll make sure I always can remember to tell you. So the first key that we have is the right mouse button. It's when you have a 3-button mouse, you right click, and yeah, you just right click, and that is how you select objects or any kind of if it's either a camera or a light or anything like that. Then you have your left mouse button, which is whenever you left click inside of Blender's 3D space, it moves your cursor around, which allows you to move your objects that you want to add or armatures or whatever into different sections, so it's not always going to be centered. That's what the left mouse button does. And the E key is how you extrude. You can do that by entering edit mode, either selecting a vertice, an edge, or a face by 4 vertices. An edge is 2 vertices, and a vertex is 1, or vertex. And you can just extrude any of these kinds of things. It can be multiples even. Anyways, then scale, we can scale in object mode or out in edit mode, just scale regular things, and we constrain it by saying S, and then constraining it to the x-axis and moving your mouse, or Y or Z, anything like that. Same with R and G, except R is for rotate, and once you rotate something, you can, again, it's the same as scale. You can use the constraints for that, and also if you hit RR, then it allows you to use free draw for it, actually, before I undelete all of those. RR is how you can do free draw with everything. G is how you can move your objects around. You can constrain it to the x-axis, y-axis, or z-axis. And then tab is how you enter what's called edit mode. That's how you edit your objects, like I was talking to you about up here with this. There we go. Anyways, then we have Z, which is wireframe, and Z to get out of wireframe. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just you get to see through your objects, and it's really a useful tool at times, and I'll be going more over that in other tutorials. Control tab is how you change your selection. Usually whenever you go into tab, you hit tab to go into edit mode, usually just are selecting vertices, but if you hit control tab, then you, I think it's Apple tab for Mac users, but I'll double check that when we're going back to Blender and using these techniques. Control tab is how you select either vertices, edges, or faces. You select which one. C is how you select with a circular area, I guess. You can just select circular portions. Like, I can use this selection tool instead of just selecting individual vertices or faces or edges. I can just hit this C and then scroll up my mouse wheeler down to change the size, and just either left mouse button to select those certain vertices or a middle mouse button to take them away. And box select is the same as C select, except you can't box select. You can't scroll up and down to be able to change the value of how big it is, because you just go to a certain point and just hold your left mouse button and drag down to select objects. But then B and middle mouse button works the same. Now Shift A is how you add an object, and these objects can be either a mesh, it could be an armature, it could be a curve, or anything of the sort. And Control R is how you add what's called an edge loop. And edge loops can be useful for things like scaling, rotating. It's pretty much to add more definition to your model instead of having to extrude something more. Alt-M is how you merge things. It's either you select two vertices or edges or faces and you want to merge it at the last one you just selected, the first one at center, or at center. That's what Alt-M does. And F is how you fill in a face. Let's say you have a gap and there's 4 edges around there or whatever, and you just select those 4 vertices and click F. You hit the button F and that fills in that face. And then X is how you delete objects. You just select it and click delete. And if you're in edit mode and you select a few vertices, or let's say you select 2 vertices, which equals 1 edge, and you hit X, you can either delete vertices, edges, or faces. And yeah, that's probably a lot to interpret in, but luckily we're almost done with this tutorial. So now I'll just show you what it looks like inside of Blender. So right mouse button, we can select objects and we can move them around. Left mouse button, we can move our cursor around. Did I actually say that other thing? No, I did not. Okay, well, one more thing real quick. Shift C is how you center your cursor back to where it was originally. That's probably not what you want to see though, but anyways, Shift C is how you do that. You have to make sure you're in Blender again. Shift C is how you select it. And here, I'll just make this kind of tiny-ish. Not so big here. Okay, it's not what I meant to do. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, one second. Accidentally messed that up a little. Okay, gotta fix the problem. Okay, what we're going to have to do is... Okay, I was thinking of an idea, but it's not really liking me right now, so E, S, R, and G. I'll just show you that real quick. Tab, you can do E. S, you can scale it in, or Apple Z or Control Z. You can S to scale it, or X, Y, or Z, or Y, Z, or X. And then R is how you rotate. X, Z, and Y. And R again, to actually have your other selection there, is how you do this, and then you have your G select, which is the same as just left mouse button. Hold your left mouse button on this little circular pad right here, and you can just move it around like this. Doosh, 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 doosh. Anyways, that's those keys. And then text edit again, because that's the program that it's called. We already reviewed tab and all of these, so we can just delete those. And then we have wireframe, control tab, B, and C. Okay, so we have Z, which is wireframe, which can be useful, or Z to get out of wireframe. We have C, which we can scroll our wheel up and select this, or just deselect it by holding the middle mouse button, box select them, or B, and middle mouse drag over those edges. And I'll get a lot more in depth with these later on in other separate tutorials. Anyways, we just went over those, and then we also have Shift A, Control R, and Alt M. Let's just go over those real quick. Tab out of edit mode, and Shift C for one, and Shift A, you can add a mesh or anything of the sort, and all these other things, which I'll be talking to you about a lot more later. And Shift C again, and we can, for example, select these both, Alt M at center. I'll show you more of those later as well. And what I forgot something probably. Let me see. Shift A, Control R. That's what I forgot. Control R is how you add an edge loop. If you wanted to add more definition or something, you can just like scale it up or rotate it where you usually wouldn't be able to if you didn't have that there. Go back into here. We can click these off, and then we have Shift C. We already went over because that's centering your cursor. And then we just have X and F. Okay, so we have delete, or we have X, and we get this. We can delete vertices, edges, faces, all edges and faces, only faces, or edge loop. Now, edge loop is when you Alt right click to select a whole edge, and you hit X, X and edge loop, and it just deletes that. But because this is centered, it doesn't listen because of this one point that's been merged. But that's what X can do. If you hit X vertices, it just deletes that all. And if you just select this and X edge, it deletes all of those. And if you just, for example, select this and hit X and hit F, then you can see there's no face there. And yeah, it's pretty much like that. And we'll be also using this a lot later on too as well. And if you hold Alt and right click to select this whole edge loop and hit F, that's how you fill in a face. Now, this was probably a lot to interpret in. I know it's usually pretty difficult at first. It was when I started too, but oh yeah, and middle mouse button to panel around, and shift middle mouse button to move around like this, if I didn't say that already. Anyways, I know this is probably a lot to interpret in right now, but it's going to be a lot easier throughout these tutorials now that I got this out of the way. So I hope you found this a good tutorial, or a helpful tutorial, I should say. I hope you found this helpful, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, I guess. Yeah, okay. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.